You know Francesca's, right? If you've spent any time at all in a mall over the last couple of decades, you've definitely seen it. That kind of boutique-y store with all the cute dresses and quirky little gifts. Well, that familiar storefront, it's about to disappear. For good. Okay, let's get into it. How does a retail staple like this just suddenly collapse? And when the end came, man, it was fast. And it seems like nobody saw it coming. This one quote from an insider just says it all. The total shock of the shutdown. One day you're at work, business as usual. The next day, your job is just gone. And for so many shoppers, this really does feel like the end of an era. See, Francesca's wasn't just another clothing store. For a lot of people, it was a core memory of growing up.
That's right. After a solid 25-year run that started way back in 1999, the company is selling everything off and shutting its doors. I mean, think about it. For a whole generation, this was the spot to get your homecoming dress or that perfect, unique gift you just couldn't find anywhere else. And now, it's over.
But here's the thing. This collapse didn't happen in a vacuum. It wasn't some random out-of-the-blue disaster. Oh no, the signs were there. A storm had been brewing for months, maybe even years, if you knew where to look. Let's just start with this number, because it's a big one. $250 million. According to one vendor, that's how much Francesca's owes in unpaid bills. That's not just a little cash flow problem, you know? That's a full-blown financial meltdown. And that massive debt, that was really just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, for months, suppliers were saying they weren't getting paid. So of course, they stopped shipping new clothes, because why would you? At the same time, actual customers were all over the internet complaining about waiting forever for refunds that just never came. The company even started cutting management jobs just to pinch pennies. The writing was on the wall. And this is where the story gets really weird. While the company is basically drowning in debt and not paying its partners, what do? They go and open a brand new, shiny store. It's just a bizarre case of pretending everything's fine on the outside while the inside is completely falling apart. It all just paints a really confusing picture, right? A company that's expanding and collapsing at the exact same time. So how in the world did a brand that seemed so successful end up here? Well, to understand that, we gotta rewind the clock a little.
The real roots of this final collapse, you can trace them back to 2020. The company was already struggling, and it made this massive, high-stakes bet to save itself, a bet that would ultimately seal its fate.
Okay, so here's the timeline. Back in December 2020, hit really hard by the pandemic, Francesca's files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. A few months later, it gets bought out for just $18 million. The new owners, they immediately go on the attack. They launch a whole new line for tweens called Frankie, and then in 2023, they buy this other startup, Richer Poorer. The strategy was crystal clear: aggressive growth. And it's really important to get what Chapter 11 means. It's not a death sentence. It's actually designed to be a lifeline, a chance for a company to hit the reset button, reorganize its debts, and hopefully come back stronger. Francesca's had that chance. But that fresh start was just squandered. The very strategy that was designed to bring the company back from the brink is actually what pushed it over the edge for good. And this, right here, illustrates the fatal flaw in their whole plan. Look at the two columns. Every single move they made to grow the brand had a terrible financial consequence. Launching the Frankie line? Boom, operating costs went through the roof. Acquiring Richer Poorer? Great, now you've got way more overhead and more people to pay. And opening new stores? That just stretched their already paper-thin finances to the absolute breaking point. So here's the bottom line. Instead of fixing the real fundamental problem, which was a major lack of cash, their big growth strategy actually made it so much worse. They were spending money they just did not have. It was like pouring gasoline on a fire, accelerating their cash burn and speeding up their path straight towards total collapse. You know, the story of Francesca's isn't just about one company's bad decisions. It's a classic business case study with some really powerful lessons about how brutal modern retail can be. So, what's the big takeaway here? First, coming back from bankruptcy is incredibly fragile. And that fragility gets way worse when you make the second mistake, trying to expand without the money to actually back it up. That's a fatal move. Third, when you stop paying your suppliers and start ignoring your customers, you're basically cutting the lifelines that keep a business going. And finally, nostalgia just isn't enough. Having a beloved brand name can't save you if the business itself is fundamentally broken. So, the fall of Francesca's leaves us with this one big, lingering question. As our malls keep changing and online shopping takes over everything, a story like this is probably going to happen again. It just makes you wonder, which familiar brand that we all grew up with is going to be the next to disappear?